When you think about high performance as it relates to teams, okay, I'm going to switch gears on you for a second. Um, in your experience, right, you've been on some of the most, literally the most high performing teams the world has ever seen, right? What are the key elements that stand out when you build and then not only build it but sustain it, high performance teams in corporate settings, and how do these elements differ from those in military context?
Well, I mean, the reality is, I'm going to frame that a little bit. So, I mean, the reality is building and sustaining high performance teams in corporate setting and in the special operations community, they share, a lot of key and common elements, both in, I guess you could say, in context, the clear communication, trust, shared sense of purpose, those are all fundamental, right? Ensuring that the team members understand their roles and responsibilities. The objective is crucial for success, right? So those are the same, and a lot of companies do that. And if they don't, we come in and we give them a hand to do that. I think fostering a culture of adaptability and resilience, where and we talked about it a little bit a second ago, where individuals are actually empowered to make decisions is also vital in both the corporate and special and operations environment. So those areas are, pretty similar. I think we're, you know, while the specific, goal or mission or whatever you want to call it, I think where the challenges differs is the principles of effective leadership, collaboration, continuous improvement. They apply universally, right? And then they allow for the creation of high performance teams that really kind of excel in any setting, in any environment. So it's not so much that they're different, it's just a lot of the corporate America and a lot of these companies are bringing military people in because they love the structure so much. We're very critical in who we work with. We do a very extensive background. What we're not is like, hey, by the way, this, you know, I guess you could say this third quarter, we have an extra 40 grand, right? Can you come in? Our goal, if we're doing a keynote somewhere, it's going to be in front of a lot of big leaders, right? And then from there, we'll have the discussions with people that really want to change from a cultural standpoint and from a high
Yeah,
performance standpoint. Because we've never had an organization that has not utilized us again, and that's just because we're going to build you and we're going to take you to the next level. And so we bring in a lot of those high performance models and we bring them into the organization. But I think it's really just making sure that those effective leadership principles are, again, they're fundamental in both. They just need to be, I think, if you were to look at it from my perspective, I think just the military has done really well at doing that. Corporate America, they're getting better. So the challenges are they know that they need to bring in these people to help them do that, and that's kind of where we come
okay. That um you know, I asked you this question intentionally because I believe that there's so many similarities between what has been learned and taught in the military that directly is universally applied in the business world,
in.
that
Absolutely.
people struggle to see the correlation if they haven't sat in both seats. And so,
Right.
if I were handing out gold stars today, you would have got like the whole roll of gold stars for that question.
So let me let
Because
me let me give you let me give you an example, which I think this will bring it kind of together, right? So I knew that I was going to retire in 2022, and when I knew that I was going to retire in 2018, I got with my uncle, who was very well known within this organization that I'm in, and so we built out a 4-year plan. And in that plan, I went back and got my undergrad and graduate level degrees in leadership. I also got great mentors that my uncle Patrick connected me with. And these guys were military powerhouses that became strong military, strong organizations and companies. A lot of them are consulting firms. There's a few HR development firms and things like that. And they would be like, well, hey, get this, get this certification. So, I went back and I got an advanced certification in project management, change management, Lean Six Sigma, and agile methodology, right? So now I have my degrees in leadership and I have these certifications. A lot of people say, hey, that's great. And I'm like, well, here's the reality. I didn't do that for the certifications. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It speaks volumes in the world that I'm in. But the reality is what I wanted to learn is how do I correlate what I've learned in the military into the business world?
Bingo.
And when I was going through all of those, like I'll give you an example. When I went and got my bachelor's in organizational leadership and development, I bought one book.
Which
Everything
one?
else I knew. I can't even remember because everything else was like they would give you the topic and I'd be able to just, write out something about the topic. And then in my master's program, I don't think I bought one book. I did most of the research online and just correlated it with my military acuity and went, okay, well, that was simple. Like it was when you have that much leadership skill sets, you just really need to correlate it. Like, for example, when I was talking to one of my mentors, one of the things he said to me, he's like, I would never ever know that you're in the military. You really understand the business language. And I said, well, I went back and got these certifications. I learned the language, and then I was able to correlate it with what I did in the military. We've been doing project management. We've been doing leadership fundamentals. We've been doing agile methodologies. We do all of that stuff. It's just learning the vernacular or the organizational speak, as I like to call it. So that would just give you kind of an idea of how, once a person understands organizational speak, everything that they do in the military, that's why a lot of people that go from the military into business, they elevate so quickly, is because they already have the fundamentals, they just build upon them.
I completely agree. Yep. And that goes back to part of what I like to highlight and showcase on the Leaders Lead platform is the gap between the two isn't the chasm isn't as wide as what people think, right?
Mm-mm.
There's so much that people learn in from a leadership development perspective through the military, um, and how they're applying it post-military and being successful with it, that I think the broader corporate non-military world doesn't quite fully understand.
Well, I also think from the military aspect, it's a little bit of fear and it's a little bit of not understanding your value in the corporate world is massive. And
I
leaders at high levels will see that right when you come into their organization. They gravitate towards people that really have those strong leadership fundamentals because they see how quickly they organize, how quickly they're able to push change initiatives, how they're able to bring the team together, how they're able to lead. And it's very prevalent, what they bring to the table. And as they start to get past that fear and they start to realize their value, which the reality is that those are the two big things that a lot of people when they're getting out, like I went through the Honor Foundation. I was very comfortable. Like I said, I did a lot of prep before I got out, had a lot of great mentors. But what I found going through that organization or any, transitional organization, I mean, you see people that are high level in the military that will make comments like, I'm not really too sure what I want to do when I grow up. And I'm like, okay, that's scary. You're an '06 captain or colonel, in the military, and now you have no idea, what you want to do in the civilian world, right?
Yeah,
Well, think about all the leadership fundamentals you have, and then just go out and do great things, man. Get over that fear, understand your value, and move forward.
yeah, that's exactly right. That brings me directly into the next question. By the way, nailed it. I love your perspective on it. Um, and I literally feel like I'm in a front row exclusive master's class right now. This is I'll send the payment later. Resilience in leadership.
Excuse me.
I mean, for those of you that are watching this, and if you don't feel that same way, uh, just just deselect, hang up, go somewhere else.